Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar Elm, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Adrienne Wilkerson, founder of Beacon Media Marketing, a specialized agency focused on empowering brands through innovative media strategies, creative storytelling, and performance-driven marketing solutions. Adrienne, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So take me back to before you started Beacon Media Marketing. What were you doing before, and then what really motivated you to start the company?
Yeah. Great question. Beacon Media and Marketing is actually my second company. My first company is the parent company of Beacon Media and Marketing, Beacon Publishing and Design. And so I started that in my early 20s. And part of it was because I realized I don't make a very good employee, a much better boss, and I needed to be off and doing my own thing. And both businesses really were birthed out of wanting to help people. And what I saw very frequently in the marketing world was small business owners that had great ideas and wanted to start something, but there weren't always a lot of options that they could find out there for graphic design, for branding, for marketing. And so oftentimes I'd end up doing a lot for friends and family and friends of friends. That's how it very first started. And they'd talk to an agency or they'd talk to who they could find. Back when I first started my thing, that was opening up the yellow pages. That's how long ago it was, or more likely how fast things have evolved. But so they'd end up talking to a big agency and they'd want to charge them $20,000, $30,000 for a logo and similar for a website, which are valid prices for certain sized businesses, but not necessarily the small business getting started. And so it was very much of there's a hole in the marketplace. We need something that can meet a small business owner where they're at as a founder of just getting something started. And this was pre VC and that whole world that's really exploded recently. So it was like, how do we meet you where you're at and help you get started and then grow along with you? The original, but I just kept hearing so many stories of a founder with a great idea and needing somebody to partner with them and grow with them along the way.
100%, because if they have the idea for building something impactful, but can they get the word out? Can they get the message out? Do they have the skill sets necessary to do that?
Exactly. And in a perfect world, we'd all have great VC backing and we'd be able to spend all the money to do it perfect the first time. But that is not the reality for most small businesses or even medium businesses getting started.
100%. Let's dive into Beacon Media Marketing and what it looks like today. Start me off with, who would you say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there, we can get into the different offers and services.
Yeah. Our ideal client right now is a mental health clinic or addiction recovery clinic, usually with multiple locations. And they usually have at least 10 providers. It's a lot of staff, but 10 providers is usually our entry level part there. So again, that's usually spread out over multiple locations. But we work mostly with mental health, behavioral health, or addiction recovery industries.
Okay, interesting. Very unique. What made you decide to focus in on that niche?
My father's a therapist. He just retired after 30 years. He started a mental health and medical kind of businesses that work together. The idea was to be able to provide care for the whole person. That idea that something they might start going to see a therapist, but maybe their diet's off or there's other things going on, and for those two to be able to work together. So I grew up with a therapist as a father. I knew the language. One of my first professional jobs was working in his medical clinic as medical billing specialist and front desk and all that. So I knew the language. And then my husband was a behavioral health addiction recovery counselor for many years. Wow. So it was nice. It was an easy, when we decided to really niche down, because we haven't always niched this deep. We really made the shift in 2020. And it was a natural shift, again, because business owners appreciate that they don't have to explain all the acronyms. They don't have to explain the unique things within their industry. And mental health has a lot of unique things that we have to do a different way in marketing. You can't just ask for reviews, for example, especially when they're your patient. That's actually a breach of HIPAA and a lot of different things. So you have to get creative with how you ask for reviews or testimonials. So these things that are pivotal to marketing, we have to be very sensitive and very intentional about how we do it in the mental health world. Otherwise, we could really put the client, our client, and their client at risk. So it was understanding that from the inside and having worked in it, grown up with it. It was just a natural kind of step in, if you will.
For sure. And I'm sure your clients love that because you understand their world, their lingo, what they need to do, what their regulations are. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
What does it actually look like to work with you? So let's say I'm one of these clinics and I'm interested in starting an engagement with Beacon Media Marketing. What does that typical engagement look like?
So one of the things that we do that's a little unique, especially within the mental health world, is that we have our employees broken up into teams, if you will. So when you hire Beacon, you get your own fractional marketing team, essentially. So one of the things that we run into a lot with small, medium-sized businesses, not just in the mental health world, but it's definitely prevalent there, is if they have a marketing person in-house, it's often a marketing director or a generalist because you can't be well versed in all aspects of digital marketing anymore. It used to be you could, but it's become so specialized now that the skills that it takes to write quality blogs and articles and long format content is very different than short form content on social. And so businesses think they can hire a person and that they can do all pieces of it. And they might be able to do some 2 or 3 or 4 very well, but there's always going to be holes in their marketing. So the idea is that when you hire us, you get your own team of specialists. So you get a social media person, you get a content person, you get a client marketing manager that is your marketing partner, almost like a fractional CMO with a whole team behind them. So for the cost of what you would normally invest in a person, you get a whole team. And we love working with marketing directors because what we can do is come in and fill those holes in that they don't like to do. Like I was just talking to one lady the other day and she's, I hate social. Can you please take over my social? Like we're happy to do that. So we come in and our fractional team fills in those holes. So a lot of marketing directors feel very threatened if a company wants to hire an agency because they're going to come in and take over and kick out the marketing director. That's not our case. We love doing that. We love being able to fill in those gaps and essentially support the marketing efforts of the company and the people they have already in-house. So we work both do with you and do for you type services.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm curious for you because I have a lot of agencies that listen to this, but also consultants and coaches. When it comes to client acquisition, so when you're looking to bring on more clients, what do you do from a lead generation and marketing front?
When we're bringing in clients for ourselves, right?
Correct, yeah.
Right now, we primarily do all of our stuff inbound marketing. So we try to practice what we preach, essentially. So we do our own ads, we do our own content. And our intent is we should be able to do for ourselves what we tell our clients we're doing for them. If we can't do it enough for ourselves, we shouldn't be selling it. Most of our clientele come in through our Google ads, through our whole PPC campaigns, through organic content, through our articles, through the stuff that we do on LinkedIn and social. So we are getting ready to launch an outbound marketing initiative fourth quarter of this year for the first time in 13 years. So the market's just shifting and changing enough that inbound marketing is effective, still very powerful, but it can't always be your only marketing mix. You need
Mm,
variety. And that's what most of our clients have. They have their own outbound marketing. They hire us to do the inbound marketing side of
got
things.
it. I see. Very cool. When you mentioned PPC and Google, are you running any sort of meta ads or anything like that?
Yes. Yep. We run Meta ads and we do some on LinkedIn. And then of course the Google ads for sure.
Nice. What did the funnel look like on Meta specifically?
That has shifted in recently. So historically, Meta was really more effective for branding,
Yeah.
and found that Meta really fed into Google. So attribution's always a challenge. What was the last prompt that made the person actually be ready to fill out, to do that form fill or book an appointment with our team? But what we found is when we combined the Meta ads or Google ads with the social media marketing and social ads, those tended to, again, drive a lot more brand awareness so that when the person's ready to actually make a buying decision, they're more likely to click on that Google ad because they've seen you before. And they're like, oh, this person's familiar. Things. So
I,
it increases the effectiveness. And what we found is more of our Google ads converted to actual appointments that showed up, not just form fills, but appointments that showed up when we tag teamed the meta ads with not just our organic social content, but our meta ads as well.
okay, very cool. So meta ads, it sounds like there's no call to action. It's mainly just go to the website.
The call to action, usually when we optimally, it pairs with a Google Ads campaign. So it's saying similar things, but in a visual way, where obviously
I
Google
see.
Ads, it's just text, right? So
Yeah.
we're repeating some of the Google ad information in a visual way. So often the Facebook meta material, the call to action is still pointing to the same place the paid ads is, because
Got it.
it does often still get a response. But we've found that the people that click on the meta ads to go through don't always convert as much as the Google stuff. Now, that is changing with AI. This is the fascinating part with AI, because less people are going to Google and asking questions on Google. They're asking
Mhm.
AI, and AI is scraping everything that Google provides and giving them with a summary, but people aren't going to Google, so they're not seeing paid ads as much.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot more direct call to action and direct bookings off of our meta ads and LinkedIn ads than we've ever seen in the past. So the dynamic is shifting, which is really interesting. So we're
Mm,
actually in the process of testing and doing a lot of A/B testing and actually pulling back on some of our Google ads and putting more money into Meta and other social platforms, because that's people are still there. They're
yes.
not AIing their social platforms. They are trusting what they see on social
Yeah.
even more than what the information they're getting from AI, which is
Mm.
an interesting dynamic.
That is an interesting dynamic. Yeah, we're big fans of Meta. We spend upwards of 500,000 a month on Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And the way that we do it is just a very clear offer, short form video,
Mhm.
60 to 90
Yeah.
seconds, going to a landing page, fill out a form, and then book a call. But we actually have been testing out a low ticket funnel, and that's been working tremendously. We're basically, it's like a $27 thing. And
Yeah.
then it's driven by setters. So setters will
Mhm.
call everybody that opts
Right.
in. You're not liquidating all of the ad spend from the from the magnet, but
Mhm.
because the setters are calling them, then they're booking appointments that show up at a higher percentage.
That
That's
makes sense.
been, yeah, that's been super helpful.
That's good to know. Yeah.
I'm curious with your sales process, what does that look like? So I'm assuming you have a team. Walk me through the different steps in the process to take a lead into a client.
Yeah. So at the very least, we do a discovery call in which we do pretty high level. Our CRO is one of our primary salespeople. He's actually meeting with most of the clients.
But
We do a little bit more high ticket versus quantity, if that makes sense.
yep.
So he can still do that. So he's usually doing a discovery call first off, in which we're getting the background of the company. What are their goals? digging into a little bit more about them, how they got started, what's their why, what's their story. If we were going to sit together in three years from now or a year from now, what would success look like for that person individually as well as the company? Because one of the big things that we find is a lot of times our first point of contact is a marketing director or even an assistant who's vetting for the CEO, and they're doing that first round of vetting. So we sit with them a lot, almost as much as we sit with actual business owners. So oftentimes it's even finding out what matters to that person. What goals do they need reached in their role and their position in the company, as well as what are the goals of the company itself. So then we're taking that information that we get and we're putting a proposal together. Sometimes bigger clients, there might be 2 or 3 meetings that lead up to the proposal because, like I said, sometimes we're meeting with an assistant who's doing the initial vetting. If we make it past that stage, then we're talking to the next level decision maker. Sometimes then it's the marketing director at that stage, and we're actually getting a lot deeper there. Most of the time in the discovery calls, they've already done their homework. They know a ton about us. So they're asking really good questions, usually at that point. And we go pretty deep. We go way deeper than most. We talk about, do they have the infrastructure to scale? Do they have a plan for scaling? Because we find a lot of times when we do our job well, we run the risk of really hurting, especially if it's a small business that's right on the cusp of growing to maybe that next stage, or they're going from small to medium business. If they don't have the infrastructure in place to handle an onslaught of leads, we can do more damage than good.
100%.
So we go a lot deeper. Sometimes that makes people a little uncomfortable. We ask a lot of questions about client acquisition costs, what their return on investment has been in the past on marketing, what's worked for them, what have they not liked in the past, what's not worked. A lot of them have worked with agencies before. So we try to get an idea of what worked for them in an agency partner relationship and what didn't work. So we go pretty deep. And then, like I said, sometimes it's several appointments, sometimes it's just 1 or 2. And then we'll sit down with them and go through the proposal in detail, answer any questions that they have. Our team usually takes their goals and can go back, especially for instance, our paid ads team. They can come back and go, okay, you're one of 20 therapists in your area. You're going to need to spend a lot more in Google ads and PPC in general to be able to rank and get the amount of leads that you're wanting to get. Yeah. Hey, you're in a more rural area. You got almost no competition. You can go with more common keywords and be really effective in your area. So we really try to optimize, especially the PPC side of things, for the client's goals and needs. We do a lot of market research, understand who their competitors are, what they need to do. There's sometimes, especially in certain areas, we'll actually dig in, is there enough of a market in their area for them to be able to bring in the clients they have? And we've actually had to come back and tell people, you want 200 new patients a month in this specific niche. Like sometimes we work with people who are doing eating disorders specifically for teens. You're in a really small part community and your community's primary age is retirement age. There's probably not enough teenagers in your area to satisfy what you're trying to go for. Yeah. So either you need to expand your area that you're wanting to reach, or maybe this isn't the best specialty for you to move into or to add to your arsenal. What about looking at helping people manage their lives now that they're in retirement and figuring out what to do with themselves? So we'll actually come back and be really brutally honest.
Yeah, no, that's amazing to see from a marketing agency, because you're giving strategic guidance as opposed to just, okay, yeah, we'll handle what you need. I like that. And going deep, I can imagine, because we do the same thing with our clients. They appreciate it. So maybe at first it can seem like, why are you asking me so many questions? But they trust you more. You have more information.
Right.
Walk me through, let me throw it at you. If we were to sit together, let's say 1-2 years down the line, what does success look like for you personally and professionally?
Yeah. Professionally, we want to have about a 30% market penetration in our designated area. So we have an idea. We work with clients all over the country. So it's really more the industry niche of behavioral health and addiction recovery. And so we're looking to have that. We would like to have that in the next 2 years. Then we're probably going to branch out and expand into other industries. We're looking at fitness and well-being, other areas that are adjacent to what we do now. So probably still in the health and wellness area, but we'll start branching out from there. We're actually looking at opening up an office in Nashville later this year or early next year. So that will be a really exciting thing. So we'll have offices in Anchorage, Alaska, Reno, Nevada, and probably Nashville, Tennessee would be a big success marker for us. So we're looking to do that. Personally, my son's getting ready to graduate from high school. He's
Nice.
going into the music industry. He wants to be a luthier, which is somebody who builds and maintains stringed instruments. So he's actually going to go to school in Nashville. There's some accredited programs there. So getting him through that and helping him launch his world, whether he wants to start his own business, which is where he's leaning. We always told him you can, whether it's starting your own business or going to college, we'll at least help you launch. And from there, it's up to you. So getting him launched in that is going to be a big personal win for my husband and I for sure.
That's so exciting. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you think of the different goals that you have for the company, what do you feel like are some of the biggest challenges you're facing right now to growing further?
I would say AI is our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
It's also one of our biggest assets. So it's a bit of a plus and a minus all at the same time. So the part that's challenging is just how often it's changing and how often it's changing what we do. So we're really in the process of shifting our mindset, our employees' mindset from you're not necessarily the one writing all the social media posts or writing all the blogs anymore. You're the one strategically prompting AI and then adding the human element to it from a strategic standpoint. So it's shifting from doers to really being that strategic consulting partner in the business. And that being our expertise as opposed to the ones that actually do the thing every day. And that's a big mindset shift, especially for a lot of people like our writers. They're like, I'm a writer. Having AI do it feels like cheating. And it's yes, but it is if you don't add the human element, if you do all the other pieces. But AI, you only get out of AI what you put into it. So if you're not strategically prompting it, you're not going to get quality out of it.
Yeah.
So that's really where we see the industry going and where we see us going is being that strategic thought leader right alongside our client and helping them navigate through this as opposed to necessarily AI can do it all or do most of it. And pretty soon it's going to be able to do it all, but it still needs somebody to manage it and direct it. Otherwise you're not going to get quality stuff that produces results out of it.
1000%. And the thing that I've noticed with AI, and I've heard somebody talk about this the other day, is it just basically tells you, it agrees with you, if that makes sense. So if you're like, yeah, this is what I want to do, this, oh, great idea, fantastic. This is definitely what you should be doing. It's like that. But then when you have somebody who's been there, done that, they could be like, okay, hold on, maybe this isn't the best approach. AI isn't really at a place right now where it can do that at a high level. So I think there's always going to be room. Now, I want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah.
What is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
Yeah, thank you for asking. People can check us out on our website at beaconmmediaandmarketing.com. And we've got a lot of information about how AI is changing marketing, how we work with people. And we're also on all the social media platforms, usually at Beacon. So we're all the Meta ones and LinkedIn and YouTube. We've got a lot of really good material on YouTube, both again from an educational standpoint, as well as some great examples of work we've done with our clients.
Awesome. Beautiful. Adrienne, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Anytime. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to beaconmm.com. You can also follow them on all socials, beaconmm. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with our team and discover how we were able to go from 0 to $30 million in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on climbing.